The auction, sold to the highest queen. The room was dark, cold, the kind of cold that makes your bones hurt. Bright lights hung over a metal stage. Strange creatures sat in chairs around it. They spoke in low voices. Some had 4 eyes. Some had tails. Some were covered in slime. All of them were rich. All of them were here to buy. And on the stage was a human. His name was Ethan Cole, age 28, former soldier. Now, a prisoner. His hands were chained behind his back. His shirt was torn. His face had a bruise near his eye, but his spirit, still alive. He stood tall, his lips curved in a half-smile. "Nice crowd," he muttered. "Anyone got popcorn?" The auctioneer, a green alien with 10 fingers on each hand, hit a button. "Lot 27, the voice echoed through the chamber. "Species, human. Origin, Earth. Strong body. Good brain. Rare. Very rare." The bidding began. 50,000 credits, one voice called. 75,000, shouted another. Ethan rolled his eyes. "Come on, people. I'm worth at least 100. Then the room fell silent. A tall figure walked in. The aliens moved out of the way. Even the guards lowered their heads. She was wearing a black and silver cloak. Her eyes glowed violet. Her skin shimmered like stars. She didn't walk. She glided. The Queen of Zilara, a living legend, a ruler feared, across 7 star systems. She stopped in front of the stage. Her eyes met Ethan's. He felt weird, like she could see into his soul. She raised one elegant hand. 500,000 credits, she said. The crowd gasped. Even the auctioneer blinked twice. "Your Majesty," he said, voice shaking. "Are you sure?" "A human," I said. The Queen repeated, 500,000. No one dared bid after that. The auction was over. Ethan was sold. The Queen's ship was like a flying palace. Walls of crystal, floors that glowed, servants in armor. Ethan was taken to a room bigger than his whole apartment back on Earth. A bed made of silk. Food that smelled like heaven. No chains, no guards. Just a voice. "Stay in this room. Do not leave. The Queen will see you soon." He waited. 1 hour. 2. Then the door opened. She entered, dressed in a royal robe, her crown shining. Ethan stood up. "So, you bought me. Not weird at all." The Queen tilted her head. "You speak well." "Well, I am house-trained." She didn't laugh. Instead, she walked around him slowly, like a lion studying her prey. "You are different," she said softly. "Your kind is rare, but you are more than that. Your DNA, your energy, it matches something ancient." "Great," Ethan said. "I'm a science project." "No," she said. "You are important." Before he could reply, she left. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. Something was wrong. Why was he really here? He waited until the hall was quiet. Then he slipped out of his room, barefoot, silent, like back in his army days. He found a door marked with alien writing. He pressed a button. It opened. Inside, a lab, giant screens, strange machines. He stepped closer. One screen showed a scan of his body. Words blinked in red. DNA match found. Compatibility. 99.8%. Mate viable. Ethan's eyes widened. What the hell? Suddenly a voice behind him. "You were told not to leave your room." He turned around. A guard, eyes glowing, weapon in hand. Ethan raised his hand slowly. "Look, I was just exploring." The guard didn't shoot. Instead, he pressed a button on his wrist. He found the lab, informed the Queen. Back in his room, Ethan paced. Mate viable? Was this why she bought him? To study him? Use him? Or worse, marry him? He laughed nervously. "Nope, not happening. I don't even date women taller than me." But deep inside, something was changing. Not fear, not anger, curiosity. Meanwhile, in the royal chamber, the queen stood alone. She stared at the stars through a glass wall. One of her advisors spoke. He saw the lab. "I know," she said. "Should we erase his memory?" "No," she replied. "Let him know the truth. Slowly. Is this wise?" The queen's eyes glowed brighter. "He is not just a slave. He is the key. The one we've waited for." She whispered one word. "Husband." The queen's secret Ethan sat on the edge of the soft alien bed staring at the wall. Mate viable. Those two words looped in his mind like a broken song. Was this a joke? He was sold at a space auction. Now he was sleeping in a royal suite, and a glowing alien queen was checking his DNA like he was some cosmic Tinder match? Weird. Very weird. The door slid open with a soft whoosh. Two guards entered, followed by the queen herself. Ethan stood. "I didn't touch anything, except that big glowing computer." "Oh, and the creepy test tubes. Okay, fine. I touched a lot." The queen ignored the sarcasm. "You're awake early," she said. "Yeah, kinda hard to sleep after finding out I'm a... what was it? Mate viable? That's a new one." She nodded. "Then you are ready to know the truth." She turned and without another word walked out. Ethan glanced at the guards. They stared back like statues. He sighed and followed the queen. They walked through crystal corridors glowing with soft blue light. Ethan noticed alien paintings on the walls, scenes of war, stars exploding, giant creatures kneeling before a tall figure wearing a crown. They entered a chamber unlike any other, a floating room surrounded by stars. The floor was clear glass. Ethan felt like he was walking on space itself. In the center, a large, ancient-looking device. It pulsed softly, like it was breathing. "What is this place?" he asked. "This," the queen said, "is the Hall of Origins." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Sounds important." "It is." She placed her hand on the glowing device. A beam of light shot out, displaying a hologram. It showed a tall humanoid figure, but not a Zelari, and definitely not an Earth human. The figure stood in the middle of fire and stars. Around him were others, falling to their knees. "This," she said, "is the one we call the human flame." Ethan blinked. "The what now?" "A warrior from your species," the queen explained. "Thousands of years ago. Strong, brave, and capable of something no alien has ever done. Bonding with the Zelari queen." Ethan laughed nervously. "Please tell me bonding means like teamwork, high fives, that kind of stuff." She didn't smile. "Oh no. The human flame united with a Zelari queen," she said. "Their bloodline created peace. Until he vanished. The bloodline weakened. Now, we are dying. Our DNA is collapsing. Without a true match, we fade. And, let me guess," Ethan said slowly, "I'm a match. You are the match." Ethan sat down on the glass floor, his head spinning. "So what, you want me to help your people?" "Yes," she said. "You want me to marry you?" "Yes." He blinked. "Lady, we've barely had coffee." She didn't understand the joke, but continued. "The bond is more than marriage. It is a fusion of spirit, mind, and purpose. Without it, the throne dies. The people fall into war. Civilizations collapse." Ethan frowned. "What happens if I say no?" She paused, then said quietly, "I will not force you, but others will not be so kind. If they learn who you are, they will come. Not to marry you, to kill you." Later, that night, Ethan sat in his room staring at the stars. He didn't ask for any of this. He was a soldier. He was good at surviving, not saving empires. And now he was the galaxy's last hope for alien royal bloodlines. Should have just taken that boring desk job on Earth, he muttered. Suddenly, the lights in his room flickered. Then blackness. Then an explosion. The ship rocked violently. Alarms blared. A voice came over the speaker. Enemy ship detected, boarding in progress. Ethan jumped to his feet. He ran into the hallway only to be grabbed by guards. Come with us. Rebels are here. Rebels? What kind of rebels? The ones who do not want the Queen to bond with a human. Blaster fire echoed through the halls. Screams, smoke, chaos. Ethan saw aliens in black armor storming the corridors. The Queen fought beside her royal guards, her energy blade glowing purple, her movements deadly and precise. But then, a missile hit the hallway. Boom! Ethan was thrown against a wall. The guards were down, and standing in the smoke was a rebel general. Eyes burning red, he pointed a weapon at Ethan. So, he hissed, "You're the human." Ethan wiped blood from his lip. Depends who's asking. The general raised his gun. Time to erase the mistake before it spreads. He fired, but before the shot hit Ethan, a shield of energy formed in front of him. The Queen had jumped in between. The shot hit her armor. She fell to her knees. "No!" Ethan shouted, grabbing her. She looked up at him, eyes dimming. "Don't. Let them take you." The room was filled with smoke. Reinforcements arrived. The rebels were pushed back. But the Queen was unconscious. And Ethan? He wasn't just some guy anymore. He was the target. He was the key. And someone wanted that key dead. Enemies in the shadows. The ship was no longer quiet. Sirens wailed. Red lights blinked like a heartbeat gone mad. The Queen's palace, once glowing with elegance, now smelled like burning metal and fear. Ethan sat beside the Queen's bed, his hands shaking. Alien doctors buzzed around her. Machines beeped. Strange fluids were injected into her veins. She wasn't waking up, and for the first time since being sold like space cattle, Ethan was afraid. He had no idea what to do, no idea who to trust, and outside her chamber doors, war was brewing. The Queen's advisor, a tall creature with skin like cracked stone, stood nearby. "We must move her," he said. "The rebels know she's alive. They will return." Ethan looked up. "Where will you take her?" "To the inner core. It is hidden, protected by ancient defenses." Ethan shook his head. "No, that's not good enough. They're after me too, remember?" The advisor hesitated. "You will remain here, protected by guards." Ethan stood. "I don't think you understand. Every time you try to protect me, people die. If I stay here doing nothing, they'll come again, harder, smarter. And next time, she might not make it." The advisor's eyes narrowed. "What do you propose, human?" Ethan didn't blink. "I fight." Hours later, Ethan stood in a training chamber. Alien soldiers circled him. Some laughed. Some looked annoyed. One tossed him a long, curved staff. "Part weapon, part shield. This is a Zalari stun pike," the instructor said. "Try not to hit yourself." Ethan smirked. No promises. Then the real training began. Painful, brutal, exhausting. Ethan got knocked down. A lot. But he kept getting back up. Why? Because this wasn't just about learning to fight aliens. It was about proving to himself, and everyone watching, that he wasn't just the Queen's pet. He was becoming a threat. That night, Ethan returned to the Queen's chamber. She was still unconscious, but her breathing had steadied. He sat beside her. "Hey," he whispered, "you don't know me. I'm just some Earth guy who likes coffee, bad jokes, and used to hate Mondays. But now I'm in space, on your ship, fighting your war, and I'm starting to think." He looked down. "I'm not going home." The room was silent. Then, the Queen stirred. Her fingers moved. Her lips parted. "Ethan," he leaned forward. "I'm here." She opened her eyes slowly, weak but glowing. "They're coming again," she said. Stronger. "The first attack was just a message." Ethan nodded. "Then it's time I send one back." Meanwhile, deep in space, inside a black asteroid carved into a fortress, the rebel general who attacked the ship paced angrily. "How did he survive?" he shouted. A cloaked figure stepped forward. "The Queen shielded him. Her bond is forming." The general slammed a clawed fist into the wall. If they complete the bonding rite, we lose everything. The prophecy becomes reality. The cloaked figure lowered their hood, revealing another human. But this one had cold metal eyes. He is weak, the figure said. But I know how to break him. Back on the Queen's ship, the court was holding a secret meeting. Not all royals were happy about Ethan. He is not one of us, one noble said. The prophecy is old, it may be wrong. He's a threat to the bloodline, another hissed. If he truly is the one, a third said, then let him prove it. They agreed, but secretly, some of them decided Ethan wouldn't get that chance. The next morning, Ethan was summoned to the Chamber of Tests. Inside were 3 platforms. Each held a different artifact, a glowing orb, a sword made of starlight, and a crown that pulsed with red light. These are relics of the old age, said the advisor. Only one with the right DNA and spirit can activate them. Ethan stepped forward. The room held its breath. He reached out to the orb. Nothing. He reached for the sword. Still nothing. Then finally, he touched the crown. Flash, a pulse of energy, hit the chamber like thunder. Guards were knocked back. Lights flickered. The crown hovered in the air, glowing bright gold. A single line of ancient alien text appeared in the air above it. He who binds the queen shall awaken the flame. Everyone stared at Ethan. One noble whispered, "It's true." Another growled, "Then he must die before the bond is complete." That night someone tried to poison Ethan's food. Didn't work. The next morning someone tampered with his training weapon. Also didn't work. But the message was clear. Not everyone wanted a human king. Later that evening, Ethan stood on a balcony, looking out at the stars. The queen joined him, finally strong enough to walk again. "They fear you," she said. He didn't look at her. "They should." She studied him. "You've changed," she said. He shrugged. "Yeah. Must be the alien food or the assassins." She laughed softly. Then she reached out and took his hand. "I chose you because of your DNA," she said. "But I'm starting to believe I chose right." Ethan looked into her eyes. Not afraid, not confused, just ready. But far above, in a hidden part of the galaxy, the human with metal eyes stared into a screen. "Hello, Ethan," he said. "I'm coming for you, and when I do..." She dies, the human heart. The silence between them was new, uncomfortable and electric. Ethan sat in the royal garden, or what passed for a garden on a floating warship. Alien trees with glowing leaves whispered in the artificial breeze. The stars twinkled through the transparent dome above like silent witnesses to a strange romance being written in real time. Across from him, the queen poured him tea. Not space tea, actual tea. She had ordered it from Earth. Somehow, he raised an eyebrow. "I didn't know you could order Amazon Prime to deep space." She didn't understand the joke, but smiled anyway. "You mentioned once that you missed it." Ethan blinked. "You remember that?" "I remember everything you say." "Oh." They sipped in silence for a moment. Then she spoke again, more quietly. "Do you ever wish you hadn't been taken from your world?" The question hit him like a punch in the chest. He leaned back, staring at the stars. "Every day. And yet, I'm not sure I'd go back anymore." She looked up. "There's a reason I remember your words," she said. "Because they're real, not polished, not fake, not royal. You're human." "Good observation," he said. 10 out of 10. She didn't laugh this time. Instead, she stood and walked to the edge of the garden. "There's something I haven't told you," she said. Ethan followed, heart suddenly tight in his chest. Inside the royal chamber, she opened a panel hidden behind her throne. A shimmering orb floated out. Ancient, glowing, humming with power. "This is a memory sphere," she said. "It contains the thoughts and visions of my ancestors. Only a true bonded mate can see what's inside." Ethan took a step back. "You want me to look into it?" No, she said. It already showed me something. She turned, her violet eyes glowing dimly. It showed me you, on a throne, wearing the royal mark, ruling beside me, and holding a child. Ethan blinked. Hard. A kid? As in, half human, half… Yes. He laughed nervously. Okay, hold up. I haven't even figured out how your people kiss, and now we're jumping to intergalactic daycare? The Queen's face was calm, but her voice shaky. Ethan, I'm afraid not of war, not of death. I've survived more battles than stars in the sky. But this? You make me feel uncertain. Ethan stepped closer. Uncertain's my middle name. She finally smiled. I thought it was trouble. Depends on the day. They both laughed, softly, nervously, like two people on opposite sides of a galaxy, trying to meet in the middle. Later that night, Ethan walked the halls alone. He didn't feel like a slave anymore. Didn't feel like a soldier. He felt confused, and underneath all the strange feelings he felt watched. And he was right. Because in the shadows of the ship's ventilation system, someone was watching him. In a hidden chamber, the cloaked human with metal eyes, the one who looked like Ethan's evil twin in a Terminator cosplay, stood beside a rebel commander. Proceed with the message, he said. The rebel opened a transmission channel, and suddenly, Ethan's quarters lit up. A hologram formed in front of him. It was Earth. His mother's face appeared, blurry, panicked. Ethan, if you can hear this, they have us. The rebels. They said they'll kill us if you don't complete the bond. Ethan froze. His blood ran cold. The message ended. Then another face appeared. Cold, metal-eyed, smiling without warmth. Choose, brother. Her. Or them. The next morning, the Queen found Ethan on the training deck, punching a simulation. Dummy over and over, his knuckles were raw. You saw the message, she said. You knew they had Earth, he growled. No. But I feared they would. He turned to her. Then you know what I have to do. She stepped closer. No. Yes, he said. I leave. I find my people. I get them out. It's a trap, she said. They're luring you away so they can kill you. Or worse, use you. He paused. Worse than killing me? If they get your blood, she said, they can clone the bond, use it to install their own puppet queen or king. Your genetics are a weapon now. Ethan's fists clenched. Then I'll be the weapon. I'll go, I'll fight, and I'll bring them down. She reached out, placed a hand on his chest. But not alone. Ethan stared at her. He didn't want to love her. He didn't mean to. But here he was. Falling. Terrified. And maybe already too late to turn back. Later, in her private chamber, the Queen looked into the memory sphere again. But this time, it didn't show a child. It showed Ethan lying in a pool of blood, a symbol burned into his chest. She gasped and dropped the orb. No. The prophecy was changing. The future was not fixed, and if they weren't careful, love would be the death of them both. Rebel uprising. The Queen's palace ship was no longer silent. It hummed with tension. Guards moved in tighter formations. Energy shields flickered around doorways. Weapons were locked, loaded, and pointed, and not all of them were facing outward. Ethan stood at the center of it all, training harder than ever, but his mind was light years away. The message from Earth replayed in his thoughts. They have us. They said they'll kill us if you don't complete the bond. He didn't know if it was real, but what if it was? What if staying here, falling for an alien queen, meant letting everyone he ever loved die? And then there was the Queen herself, getting colder, more distant, not angry, afraid. One morning he entered the training hall to find his weapons missing. His access code revoked. What the hell? 2 guards appeared behind him. You've been placed on restricted movement. By order of the council. Why? No answer. They just escorted him, politely, but with their hands hovering near their stun blades. Ethan didn't argue. He just started planning. In the council chamber, the queen stood before 10 ancient alien nobles, their faces hidden behind ceremonial masks. One spoke with a voice like grinding steel. You've risked our empire on a human. You've brought prophecy into politics, love into war. I have brought truth, the queen replied. You fear him not because he's weak, but because he matters. Another voice, sharp and cold. And what if he turns against you? What if he brings war instead of peace? The queen stared at them. Then let him try. Later, in her private quarters, the queen removed her armor for the first time in days. She stared at her reflection, strong, royal, but tired, alone. She thought of Ethan, his jokes, his fire, his stubborn heart. Her fingers brushed her own lips, remembering the almost kiss they never had. Suddenly, her wrist communicator blinked, a message from deep space, a rebel broadcast. She opened it. What she saw made her blood freeze. Footage of Earth, cities in transhuman civilians held in chains, and one figure, metal-eyed and smiling, standing beneath a rebel flag. The queen thinks she can keep him, he said, but his past belongs to us. Let the galaxy watch as she loses him, and everything else. That night, Ethan was gone. No guards, no cameras, just an open airlock and a ship missing from the hangar. He'd stolen it, left a message. I'm going back to Earth, don't follow me. But she did. Against the council's orders, against tradition, against logic. She took her fastest warship, her deadliest guards, and went after him. Herself, because if he died, if she let him go, she'd lose more than a throne. She'd lose the one person who made her feel alive. Meanwhile, Ethan landed on a moon just outside Earth's atmosphere. Quiet. Dark. Covered in black glass from ancient explosions. He met with a contact, a rogue alien traitor. Where are the prisoners? Ethan asked. The traitor handed him a chip. Coordinates, but they won't stay there long. Ethan loaded them into his ship. Then, the attack hit. A rebel ambush. Ships uncloaked. Around him, lasers tore into the ground. The air sizzled with plasma fire. Ethan ran, fought, blew up a scout ship with a stolen blaster, but it wasn't enough. From the smoke, a figure appeared. Him, the metal-eyed twin. The rebel's human puppet. Ethan pointed his gun. You're not me, the twin smiled. No, Ethan, I'm what you could have been if you weren't so soft. They fought, fist to fist. Steel versus skin, rage versus reason. But Ethan wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a protector, a man with something to lose. And that made him dangerous. Just as the twin pinned him down, blade to throat, boom. Massive explosion tore through the rebel ranks. The queen had arrived. Her ship hovered above the moon like a god descending from the heavens. She dropped in from a beam of light, flanked by her elite guards. Step away from him, she said. The rebel laughed. And if I don't? She didn't answer. She just raised her hand and fired. The twin jumped back, wounded but alive, vanishing into the smoke. Ethan and the queen stood in the chaos together, surrounded by the bodies of rebel soldiers and the burning remains of their weapons. You followed me, he said. You ran, she replied. I hate running. He looked at her, bruised, bleeding, half-broken. I had to. My people. She stepped closer. You don't have to choose between them and me. Ethan's voice was rough. Feels like I already did. She touched his face. No. You chose us. All of us. You came here to fight for both. They kissed. Finally, among fire and ruins, their lips met, and the bond between them flared like a star being born, a bond not made by DNA, but by choice. But far above in a cloaked ship, the rebel leaders watched and smiled. Because they'd recorded it all, and they had what they needed, a sample of Ethan's blood. "Prepare the cloning tanks," one said. "The next war begins now." The human weapon a week had passed since the battle on the moon. Ethan stood inside the Zilari core vault, a place so secret even most royals thought it was a myth. It was located deep beneath the Queen's palace, hidden behind walls of shifting matter, protected by security systems that responded to thought, not keys. The Queen stood beside him, wearing ceremonial armor, black metal trimmed with starlight. "This, is it?" she said quietly. "This is where your DNA led us." The walls pulsed. Ancient machines flickered to life at Ethan's presence. An orb rose from the floor, huge, silent, cracked, as if it had been asleep for thousands of years. "It's called the flame engine," she said. "A weapon or a miracle, depending on who holds it." Ethan squinted. "Why does it look like a giant alien egg?" "Because it is," she whispered. "It was grown, not built. A living weapon." She turned to him, expression tense. "It only responds to a specific genetic pattern, one that vanished after the last human left our galaxy. Until you." Ethan stepped forward. The orb pulsed, his veins lit up. Literally, golden light spread through his skin like electricity beneath glass. The flame engine activated. Suddenly, visions hit him like lightning to the brain, cities burning, skies torn open, fleets falling from the stars. A man, not him, but wearing his face, eyes cold, heart empty, the metal-eyed clone, and behind him, thousands of copies, marching, burning. "We are the fire." Ethan fell to his knees, gasping. "They're not just cloning me," he said. "They're using me to wake the weapon." At the rebel base, deep inside a dying sun's orbit, the clone stepped into a chamber lined with mirrors and code. Machines swirled around him, scanning his blood. He didn't flinch as they injected black liquid into his veins. "You are the weapon," the engineers whispered. "You are perfection." His eyes glowed like twin supernovas. He spoke. "Initiate the war protocol." And the ground began to shake. Because the rebels had built their own version of the flame engine, and now they had the spark. Back on the Queen's ship, Ethan stood before the Zilari Council. The nobles still wore their masks, but their fear was obvious. One shouted, "We must destroy the flame engine before it destroys us." Another, "This is not a prophecy, it's a curse." The Queen raised her voice, calm but commanding. "No. Ethan is not the danger, he is the balance." Ethan stepped forward. "I'm done hiding," he said. "You want to know what I am? I'm human. I mess up. I bleed. I fall in love with impossible people." He glanced at the Queen. "And yeah, I light up ancient alien weapons when I'm angry." Some nobles gasped. One applauded slowly, then another, and another, but not all of them were clapping. That night, Ethan stood on the observation deck. The Queen joined him. "I saw the clone," he said. "I think he was grown for war. No feelings. Just orders." She nodded. "They'll unleash him on our allies first, make it look like you betrayed us. Then they'll bring him to Zilara and finish us." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we don't wait. We hit them first." She tilted, her head. "You want to start a war? I want to end it before they turn me into the villain." 3 days later, the Queen's flagship entered stealth mode and crossed into forbidden space. The Grave Zone, where the last flame war ended 4,000 years ago. Wrecked ships floated like bones. Radio signals screamed static, and buried beneath the debris was a signal, one matching Ethan's DNA. "Clone factory detected," the AI said. "Destination locked." The moment they dropped from stealth, chaos erupted. Rebel ships scrambled, turrets powered up. But Ethan was already in a drop pod, his armor glinting with Zilari tech. He turned to the Queen through the comms. "You sure this looks good on me?" "You look like a god," she said. "Good. Let's go kill the devil." He landed in the factory with a thunderous crash. Blasters roared. clones rushed him, but he didn't stop. He was fast, deadly, angry, and glowing brighter with every hit. Then, he saw him, the clone, waiting in the control chamber, wearing a mock crown made of twisted metal. "You made it," the clone said. "Took you long enough." "You stole my face," Ethan growled. "I perfected it," he replied. They charged each other. Clash of fists, energy versus raw fire. But Ethan wasn't alone. The Queen dropped in moments later, slicing through Rebel, guards like fire through paper. Together they pushed the clone back, but he smiled through blood. "You think this ends with me?" He pressed a button. A countdown appeared. 59. He whispered, "The second engine is under your capital city. It wakes in 1 minute, and it doesn't care who lit the match." The Queen froze. "Ethan, it's a trap. They planted it under my people." Ethan stared at the clone, blood dripping from his mouth. "Then we burn it out before it lights." The Queen looked at him. "I'll stop the engine." He took her hand. "And I'll stop him." She left. Ethan turned to his clone. Just the two of them now. And one last flame to settle. Begging for love. The clone smiled as the countdown ticked on behind him. 32, 0, 31. Ethan stood between the detonator and the clone, both of them bloodied, panting, glowing faintly with energy that neither fully understood. "You really think you're the hero in this story?" the clone asked, circling him. "You were bred to burn, not save." Ethan cracked his neck. "Yeah? I guess someone forgot to install the villain monologue switch in my DNA." And then, they fought, flesh against flesh, fire against fire. It wasn't a battle between good and evil. It was a fight between choice and control, between a man who was made and a man who chose to be more. Meanwhile, in the Queen's capital, the streets shook. Civilians screamed. The ground split beneath their feet. Deep below, under the royal palace, the second flame engine began to stir. The Queen arrived in the core chamber just as a group of traitor nobles tried to flee. "Stop," she commanded. They turned, pale, ashamed. "You brought this into my home," she said, lifting her hand. Energy crackled in her palm. One of the nobles dropped to his knees. "Forgive us. We thought... You didn't think. You feared." She raised her hand higher, and the flame engine responded to her, not Ethan, not the clone, her. It glowed, dim at first, then brighter, warmer, as if recognizing her strength, as if saying, "You are worthy too." She didn't understand it yet, but she would. Because today was not just about prophecy, today was about choice. Back in the rebel facility, Ethan pinned the clone against the wall. "You could have been more," he said, breath ragged. "You could have chosen something else." "I chose power," the clone snarled. "And you chose weakness." "No," Ethan whispered. "I chose love." And with that, he drove the ancient blade, the one the Queen had given him long ago, forged from her ancestors' metal, straight through the clone's chest. The clone gasped, then smiled. Too late. Won. Yodars, but the explosion didn't come. Instead, a new energy pulsed through the rebel base, and golden and soft like dawn. Ethan looked around. "What the hell?" Then a voice came over the comms. "It didn't detonate," the Queen said. "I stopped it." He blinked. "You what?" "I bonded with the engine. It chose me, or maybe I chose myself." He laughed, halfway between relief and disbelief. "Well, that makes two of us glowing freaks now. I prefer the term radiant royalty." But then the clone's body sparked. Not with life, with a beacon. A last command. Every rebel ship across the sector activated, as if waiting for that final breath. The clone had been a key. And now that he was dead, the fleet was coming. 3 hours later, Ethan and the Queen stood before a war map glowing red with approaching enemy ships. Hundreds of them. The Queen looked exhausted. He looked ready. "There's no time to evacuate," she said. No time to run. Then we don't, Ethan said. She looked at him. You're willing to die for us? He took her hand. No, he said. I'm willing to live for you. And then he knelt, not with fear, not as a servant, but with purpose. Don't have a ring, he said, and I'm terrible with speeches, but I know this. If we die tonight, I want to die knowing I asked you the most important question of my life. She blinked. You're proposing? No, he grinned. I'm begging. He held her hand tighter. Will you marry me? She stared, not as a queen, not as a commander, but as a woman who had waited her whole life for someone who saw her, beyond the crown, beyond the prophecy. She nodded. Yes. And then she kissed him, and the entire ship pulsed with light. As the bond was completed, every screen lit up, every soldier paused, and the fleet, the rebel fleet, they saw the pulse too, and their ships shut down, one by one. The bond didn't just seal their love, it activated the Zalari throne's deepest defense, a psychic frequency that deactivated all stolen flame tech. The war was over, not with a bang, but with a kiss. Weeks later, Ethan stood on a balcony of the palace dressed in ceremonial armor, gold, black, sleek. The queen stood beside him holding his hand. A massive crowd of aliens cheered below as the royal ceremony played out across the stars. Two empires united. One, human. One queen, and one impossible story no one believed, until they saw it with their own eyes. Later alone, she looked at him and whispered, You changed everything. He smiled. No, you did. You just needed someone to remind you, she chuckled. You really are trouble. He grinned, leaning closer. Yeah, but I'm your trouble now.